So, Bob, how about that pitching?
Awesome. Mariners pitching is awesome. Even when you've got The Rock struggling a bit. I think he's got about a 4.5 ERA through his last 4 starts. He hasn't been Luis Castillo, but he's also a guy that got off to a hotter start than anybody imagined, because that was his reputation coming in. He's a slow starter, so he sort of builds up. He got off to a red hot start. He's cooled off, but even with that, I'll say this. He's keeping you in the game. He's not going out there and getting his doors blown off like you see some guys go out there and give up a 7 spot or 8 spot. And if he's your biggest problem, it tells you how good everybody else has been. And that includes Marco's kind of the same guy. He'll give up 2, 3 runs typically, and then you look up and he's giving you 6 innings. 6 innings, 3 runs. He's giving you a quality start. He's keeping you in the game. And then the young guys are phenomenal. You're talking about one of the best rotations in all of baseball, period. With Miller pitching the way that he is, with the way Logan Gilbert is throwing, with the way Kirby is throwing, and then if Luis Castillo gets back to what he normally is, that's a tough 1 through 5 to stack up to for the rest of the league. They are spectacular. And the bullpen on top of it. The bullpen, guys we didn't know coming into the season, whether you're talking about Topa or Spire or Gott or any of these guys, you're just like, who's that? 10 comes in. Their bullpen has been lights out as well. Yeah, everybody's going to have a hiccup here or there, but for the most part, their pitching and their defense, which is what has carried them the last 2 seasons, is doing it again.
Well, for a team that's won 7 of their last 10, it sure doesn't feel like it. Why?
Because you see them get shut down in close games. I think it's even worse when your pitcher goes out there and throws a gem and your offense does nothing to back them up. To lose a game 2-1, you put up 1 run. You had 4 hits in that first game against the Rangers. And I know the Rangers offensively are really good. Yeah, they've improved with their pitching, but their big acquisition, DeGrom, is hurt. Evaldi's been okay. You didn't even face him. So, to go out there and get shut down like that when your pitcher is out there in your bullpen and putting up zeros the way they are, and then 2 runs, you look at it and that's insurmountable. It's frustrating. It makes it feel worse than just an ordinary loss in a 162-game season. I don't blame anybody for being frustrated because the offense has been wildly inconsistent, much like it has been for the past 2 years. So I think it just feels like, here we go again. Same problem they've had the past 2 seasons is still rearing its ugly head. You're getting gold from your starters, and your offense isn't backing them up. That's why it feels worse.
Do you feel like there are long-term concerns about the team?
Yeah, I wonder about. I don't worry about Julio. I like that they bumped him down in the order. I thought that was what needed to happen. Came up with a hit today, hit the first ball hard. Maybe he's going to find his way out of it. Same with Teoscar. Kind of done watching him strike out. I got to be honest. He was, and this has come from somebody who loved that acquisition. I was cheering. I was like, yes, I love that. The other ones not so much. Him I loved. Before today's game, he was on pace to strike out 230 times this season. I don't know what the pace is now. Struck out a couple more times today. I expect that he's going to become Teoscar at some point. It's been a rough start for him, to be frank. It's just, that, then you throw in the Julio struggles, and then, the Lastellas, who's not a part of the issue anymore, but Wong and Pollock had a couple nice games. But overall, if we're just talking about the big picture, you got a lot of holes in that lineup. And you're waiting for everybody, like, oh, wait for this guy to find his rhythm. Wait for this guy to find his rhythm. We're saying that about a lot of guys right now.
So the M's clearly need a bat. Who's a name you'd like to see them trade for?
Oh, that's a good question. I hadn't really thought about who might be available. I think you just start looking at the worst rosters or the worst teams record-wise, which would be, the White Sox, the Rockies, the A's. I'd have to go through the rosters and really look at who these teams have. And it's one I hadn't. As much as I thought you're a bat short coming into the season, now there were guys I would have wanted them to go after. There were guys that I was very interested in as not the marquee. Obviously, you'd love a Dansby Swanson or Xander Bogaerts or Trey Turner, any of those guys. But even Drury was a guy we had talked a lot about. Cody Bellinger was a guy I thought might be worth kicking the tires, although he came with a pretty big price tag. But it's not my money. I'm not worried about how much some of these guys cost. To me, what hurts is I felt like this was the off season to go for it. You had the town, you had the fan base back in your pocket. People were fired up, and that to me was when you say, we're going for it. We got this young nucleus here with Julio and Cal and all these guys. We're going to give you a bat that's going to be part of it moving forward. Instead, they went out with 35-year-old duct tape. It's what they did. We're looking for lightning in a bottle. We're going to wring the sponge dry and see if there's anything left in La Stella. Is there anything left in Wong? Is there anything left in Pollock? And right now, the answer is no. The answer is no. You got what you paid for. And Pollock, again, couple good games, clutch home runs, back-to-back games. But if we're just talking about overall, none of those have worked out the way you'd hoped. And La Stella's not even on the roster now. So, you know, I'd like to look at some of the other rosters and point out individuals that could be available, see if those teams are willing to part for them. You're going to have to give up some of your pitching, you know, in your farm system, which is always a tough ask. But right now, we just talked about it. Pitching is their strength, and their offense, like the last 2 seasons, is their weakness.
After seeing the Astros and Rangers, what are your thoughts on their AL West chances?
I think they're good because I don't think. Well, the Astros look like listen, they're dealing with a lot of injuries. They've got guys. You know, McCullers is always hurt. He's still hurt. Urquidy's out. Altuve's still not back. Brantley's not there. So there's a lot missing from them. Maybe this is a year they just don't find a way to put it together because they're not healthy. Rangers still need to prove it to me. They didn't look dominant. They came in here and they were mashing. I think they were averaging 6.5 runs a game coming into this series. Mariners allowed 2 runs combined in the first 2 games of this series. They allowed 4 in the final game. You still held them to 2.5 under their game average coming in. So, you know, to allow 6 total runs in 3 games, they got a nice lineup. They're doing it without Corey Seager, which is impressive. They still need to prove it to me. You know, maybe I'm being stubborn and clinging to the old image of the Rangers, but I think they're vastly improved. I think offensively they can be a problem, even though the Mariners pitching shut them down. But I still need to see it for more than a month and a half. So I think, you know, nobody's running away with this division. Angels aren't, Rangers aren't. Rangers are in first place and they took the series, but they don't look dominant to me. The pitching, to me, I look at and go, okay, let's see what they're going to do with the injuries and how they're going to piece this together. But I don't buy them yet. And maybe at the end of the season, I'll be going, hey, I was wrong. They ran away with it. But at this point, they don't feel like they are creating a situation that's insurmountable.